Hey there, my friends. Welcome. It's Silouan. Great to be with you today. Are there really two sides to everything, or sometimes is there one side, or sometimes is there 10 sides, or sometimes is it a circle and you're not even really sure what the side is? I was thinking about that a lot yesterday. I was driving back from putting on a class in Illinois for some police officers. And as I was driving back, I was listening to podcasts. And I was listening to the Sean Ryan podcast. And he had this guest on that has this website. I think it's called Just the News, No Bullshit. And I was intrigued at first, and they got to talking. But as they talked, everything was about, and I get what they were coming from. You know, everything was about there's left-wing media and there's right-wing media, and the truth is in between. And there's two sides to things. And then the third side is really just the independent to listen to the two. And as I drove and I listened to that, I kind of thought to myself, but that's really the problem, is that, you know, two political parties is arbitrary. You know, plenty of other countries have many more. You know, earlier in our country's history, we had many more. It's an arbitrary thing. I mean, theoretically, we could have more parties. And then I got thinking, is there really two sides to every argument? And I don't think there is. I would argue most things that we argue about, there are many sides. And I think what happens when you start looking at the world as if there's this side and that side, you automatically put yourself in a box. Like, in a way, you almost quit thinking. You almost are like, okay, I'm going to stop the part of me that would look for other opinions than those two, and I'm just going to focus on those two, and then I'm going to have this internal monologue about which one of those is correct, and then once I decide, then I'll take a side on that particular issue, and then somehow that makes me independent. I'm not sure that makes you independent of anything. What about just looking at an issue and just figuring out what the truth is? What's closest to the truth? What are the options? I mean, it could be about anything. It could be about schools or taxes or laws, about anything. I remember when I was young and I was taking a class in college, and it was a psychology class. And at the time, the death penalty was discussed a lot. You know, in the early 70s, the death penalty was commuted, and then it came back. And so, you know, in the 80s and 90s, it was talked about a lot. And you know, I'm in college, and my professor pointed out something, you know, how at that time at least, you know, things change. You had one party that was against abortion because it's killing something, but it was for the death penalty, which is killing something. Like it was for the government killing someone. And then you had another party that was for abortion, which is killing something because, you know, some reason it's justified, but then they were against the death penalty because it was the government doing it. And he just talked about how logically neither one was really consistent. And I remember sitting there in class and thinking to myself, yeah, he's pretty much right. It's not consistent. Like, it's kind of like one or the other. And I remember thinking that because of that, you know, my position on those issues didn't line up with either one of them at all. And especially, which today it seems like no one has a problem with it, especially like the death penalty. Like, I think the death penalty's crazy. There have been so many, especially men, unjustly convicted of murder and put to death. Now, it would take one to make you reconsider it, but there's been a lot. Not only that, you know, if you really want to punish them, I've spent a lot of time in maximum security prisons, which most people I meet haven't, you know, volunteering. I wasn't incarcerated. And it's not a good place to be. Like, if you really want to punish somebody, let them live there for the rest of their life, which is a whole nother discussion on what prisons should be like. But prisons aren't fun. But instead, they want to kill somebody, even when we know they may be innocent. And nowadays, it seems like nobody talks about it. Like, it is on the fringe of both parties to even begin to talk about whether the death penalty is a good thing or not. And it's issues like that, you know, I think when people think through them, it's like there's not a left or a right or a middle or an independent. There's just some things, there's a right and wrong. It is wrong to kill somebody. Just is. It's wrong. Okay? It is wrong to murder somebody. Okay? It's wrong. There's no side to it. And there's a lot of issues like that. Like it's wrong to abuse children. Okay? Now I know as you get away from the black and white, you get gray areas, but they're gray because they don't have two sides. They're gray because they have 10 sides. They have 20 sides. Like, what age should you be able to drink? What age should you be able to go fight for your country and die? What age should you be able to have sex with somebody? What age should you be able to get married? I mean, is it 17? Is it 20? Is it 21? There's not two sides to that. There's a million sides to that. And I think people would have a lot better conversations about these things if when they sat down to discuss it, no one at the table felt like they're defending anything. You know, because that gets personal real quick. We like to label ourselves. I'm an independent. I'm a Democrat. I'm a Republican. Okay? And then someone says something that challenges you on that. It gets really personal. And then even though we want to sit and be talking about a subject as if we're open-minded and we're willing to discuss, we immediately start defending that position instead of just having a conversation. Hey, what do you think about that? What did you see in the news? And that attitude, even though I don't always follow it like I should, it's helped me over the years because in what I do, as you can imagine, I deal in mental health, I deal with veterans, I deal with law enforcement, I deal with social workers. I come in a contact with a more diverse group of opinions than anybody I know. You know, one minute I may be with a group of social workers or people in that industry who are as like progressive and Democrat as you might get. And then I might be with another group of, police officers somewhere that are as like conservative as you get and the polar opposites. Yet I find a way to have a conversation with both of them. I find a way to be friends with all of them. And the reason is I never come up there and say, this is my label. We talk about things. We talk about life, being happy, doing what you love, being a good mom, a good dad, being a good brother, being a good sister. Universal things. It's not hard to do. So just take a minute. And I would ask you to just consider, don't label your opinions by like one of two sides or three. Because independent's not really independent. Because most people I find that say they're independent, that might as well just be a third political party. That might as well just be a third opinion. Don't label your opinions. Just what's right, what's wrong. And remember that the thing that's more important than all of it is that we remember we're all human beings. We're just trying to get through life. We're just trying to get from here to there, happy, doing something that we like, taking care of the people we love. Doesn't matter what I believe, what you believe. We can have strong differences of opinion and still be friends and still care for each other and still love each other. So there isn't two sides or three sides. There's many sides, or sometimes one side. Sometimes there is two sides. But whatever it may be, remember the things that connect us. We're human beings just trying to get through life, make it through this world. And it's always amazing to me that when I'm sitting across from another human being and we put the labels aside and we just talk and we laugh and we tell stories or whatever it may be, it is almost 100% of the time an awesome moment with another human being. So, use the labels. Be willing to be wrong. Be willing to search for the truth. Be willing to change your mind. Be willing to be puzzled. Be willing to say, I don't know. I need help. But whatever it may be, I hope you will join me again. I'm Silouan. Peace.